Okay, now we are live on the iHemp Hour. My name is Dave Crable. I'm with iHemp Michigan. We're joined by Rusty and Corey of Essen Atlas. Essen Atlas is hosting a hemp field day, some fiber trials here in Michigan on August 23rd, and we wanted to catch up with you guys about that. And, we're also joined by Blaine Bechtold at a remote location. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, so Blaine, what's going on? You're you're on the road still.
Yep, I'm still on the road down here near Kalamazoo, Michigan. I helped out my brother a little bit with with his getting back into the world kind of thing, and so doing that, but having a good time with helping him. And Rusty and Corey have known them for a long time. They've been great friends for a while. And Rusty went down to us a couple of years ago to the She, which is coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that. That's coming up down in Nashville in just a couple of weeks here, actually, next week, actually. And Corey, been known Corey for a long time, worked on a couple of projects with him. So really excited to have these guys on the show today and talk about where things are going with the hemp, and a little bit of grain also we're doing too. So really excited to get an update on that and have you guys share about what's your project that you're doing. So
yeah, Corey.
And we'll share a little news a little later. Some big news here in Michigan happening, and got a fun little recipe to share with everybody at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And today we're also going to feature some of the products from some of the members and some of the Hempy winners. So today we're going to feature a couple of products from Icon Processors.
All right. Thanks, Blaine. So, Corey, you really saved my bacon with that bucking machine years ago when I grew in 2019. That was awesome. So that was your first entry, a little mechanical engineering into the hemp space, right?
Yeah, that's right. We got into it from like a lot of people, got into it on the CBD side, which is now turned into more of the THC and marijuana side here in Michigan, at least. But yeah, we created a company, VZ Tech, and making everything from buck machines to grinders to shredders and kind of everything between the harvest and the processing stage. So it's been a fun journey, and along the whole way, I met Rusty 3.5, 4 years ago now, and ever since we've been really intrigued by the fiber side, and that kind of led us
into. You might be in a little remote location, so maybe it's dropping off a little bit. Rusty, are you there? There we go, Corey.
Hey, okay. Did I lose you guys?
No, I think
just a little bit.
Some internet troubles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was just getting into saying that me and Rusty met about 4 years ago, and we've been really interested in the fiber side of things, and kind of hopefully getting a processing facility out here in Michigan soon.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then Rusty's must be like the thinker, because it took him a while to engage. He was standing back, looking, watching everybody, letting everybody else make the mistakes, and then he jumps in. Is that your MO, Rusty? You just kind of sit back and
support where I can, and I like to be a sponge and kind of work quietly behind the scenes, right? It's it's crazy that it's been 4 years. I definitely came together with the bucking side and with the CBD grow and everything that we were doing in Davison, and then that just kind of basically snowballed into fiber and grain is just as much on our mind as what the CBD and the flowering and fruiting bodies. Let's grow some plots. We're like, we started who's growing, and we couldn't find anybody in the state that's fiber, let alone really 3 years ago domestically. So that's the journey that we're like, hey, we need to start doing it. And that's really what's kind of spearheaded everything else from here, and our travels and the networking and really that path. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's cool stuff. Yeah, I saw a post on LinkedIn by Drew Kitt. He was out at IND Hemp, and he showed those bales of textile fiber. I was really shocked to see that. I didn't know there were, I didn't see anybody doing textiles this quick. That is really exciting to see that happen. And what's it going to take for us to get that kind of processing here in Michigan?
It's gonna take. I tell you the honest truth, the hemp industry is crazy. So it could take the littlest, thing as far as an architect who's doing sustainable building to want to come in and start something up. It could be. I really don't know. It's what we're working on getting the processing going. And I'm sorry, I've got the little one running over here, and he came up, and I was like, "No, get out."
Okay, this is a kid-friendly show. It's okay, Rusty.
Yeah.
No, I think what it's going to take to get processing going, textiles specifically, is really that's the next iteration, right? It's finding what the end use application is, and then tying it into the infrastructure that's local or regional that then will basically give credence to that process, right? So right now here in Michigan, with 43% of a lot of thermal,
You're dropping out a little bit there, Rusty.
oh man. Hey, go ahead, Corey, if you want to jump in, I'm sorry. But we're focusing on everything from OEM applications to non-wovens and things like that. So actual textile here in Michigan would be a decent size company who's wanting to probably go in order to get into it, or finding out that the supply chain that this works within infrastructure through North Carolina, Montana, right? And that's ultimately where that processing and manufacturing is happening right now.
Yeah, I'll jump in and just back up just a little bit and say, Rusty and I have done a pretty good job of kind of staying a little bit in the scene. We've been traveling all over the states and really just keeping an eye on equipment, markets, and whatever we're doing. Funding for us is kind of an ongoing thing. So we've been kind of lucky that funding and the opportunity hasn't landed in our lap right away. We've seen a lot of people kind of help guide us in different directions, and the hemp industry every single day, and the equipment that is still there, but now there's 6 different types of equipment on the market. So we're really trying to craft around the markets that we see fit. We'll obviously work towards every single market we can that hemp fiber and herd can kind of help with. But in our region, we've got a lot of manufacturing. So what are we going to see within a couple 100 miles from the heart of Michigan? And we're seeing composites and plastics and non-wovens, and a lot of experimental stuff too. Like hempcrete is obviously taken off. You guys know that. So yeah, it's kind of just sitting back, kind of watching, being agile, and writing that business plan and putting the spreadsheets together to really see where right. A lot of math that you can't base on a whole lot because it's a new industry. But at the same time, I think, where Rusty and I come in for Michigan, our strengths are in partnerships. So hopefully in the near future, there'll be some exciting conversations that we can present to you guys about some potential partnerships out there and just linking arms with the right people to make this happen.
Yeah, it feels like we knew going in this is going to be at a 3 to 5 year ramp just to get any kind of stability in this market. In the meantime, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. And but hearing more rumblings, things are starting to percolate, and it's good to see things moving ahead. But it certainly looks like it's going to, in Michigan, it's going to be a specialty crop. It's not going to be a commodity crop for any time in the near future. And one of the things that's affecting that is the regulation. As we're seeing, as you mentioned, that CBD is now on the marijuana side. It's still under a hemp license that's regulated under marijuana, but you're right. It doesn't have the same flavor. When we first started, it's like, oh, let's do research. We can grow these 1/4 acre plots and such, and that's was just taken right out of the equation with the way they have it set up now. It feels to me. So,
yeah, far as regulations go, we, you know, luckily we haven't had too many problems, you know, with our grows and what we're doing. Ultimately, it's we just haven't tested it hot. And again, it's one of those things where our biggest thing is, you know, if we have 6 different farms that are contracted and it comes time for getting that the lab and the lab's done, it's gonna be tough to kind of coordinate. It's just an added layer of bureaucracy that we have to go through. So although it hasn't been a huge deal for us, especially kind of more of an R&D and everything is kind of under a smaller umbrella with us, it's still been a huge problem for not only here in Michigan, but definitely, you know, Montana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and a lot of these places that we have colleagues and friends. So it's always something that's on our mind. But it's not as big of a, for me, it's not as big of a mountain to kind of get over, because I'm hoping that a lot of our friends that are on the back end that are pushing will push that to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the varieties you guys have tried over the last few years and what you've seen there.
Yeah, I can start with that. Yeah, so over the years, we've grown everything from the Canadian varieties that we kind of started out with. That was interesting, and we can get it more into kind of why we chose things. But Canadian varietals, French varietals, we had a lot of good luck with a Polish varietal, B-Lab, that's shown, you know, we can get a decent amount of biomass for fiber. It's got a decent grain head to it if you want to do a dual crop. And yeah, the fiber quality seems to be pretty great with that one. So I'm a supporter of B-Lab. And then we get into kind of a new, or kind of a different segment of the hemp fiber, the Asian varietals, like the Yuma, Puma, Hani, Jinma, and then also the Australian MS77. And, you know, we've kind of been focused on that Yuma varietal the last couple of years specifically. We're seeing a lot of biomass, a lot of good herd production. We're, you know, depending on how we grow it, it's been, you know, we can grow it very tall. I think last year here in Michigan, we had 17, 18 feet tall. Now that's kind of, you know, your bigger stalks. So some of it's not going to be, you know, used for your grade A fiber, but it's showing really good promising biomass yields. So
Could you define that, you know, while you're there, put a pin in that? What's grade A fiber mean? What is that? What's it look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always evolving, but if you're going for, you know, a really high end textile, so that you know, you've got a soft material that has a high tensile strength. So, you know, you don't want every plant, when it grows in segments. So it grows nodes every so often. So you want, you know, a plant that has good spacing between those nodes, rets well in the field, processes well. And then specifically the fiber comes off the herd clean, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Is it typically a smaller stalk versus a, you know, big fat stalk, right?
Yeah, from what Rusty and I have seen, you know, typically if you're going for a high grade textile, you're going to be growing your plant density probably well over 1 million plants per acre.
1 million?
Yeah, yep.
Really? Wow.
Probably 1.1, 1.2 million. Rusty, does that sound about right? So,
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So we're really growing them tight together, so they grow more, you know, about pinky size.
Nice and skinny, not so tall. You referenced the I&D pictures that you had seen Drew post earlier today. So they're harvesting for their textile crop, Guy Carpenter as well. So they're obviously harvesting than normal for herd or for the actual biomass yields. And that 1.1 to 1.2, that actually isn't that high. Start to realize the amount of pounds per per acre that it's put on. It's more so following that of somewhat of the biomass, higher biomass yields that we're finding. It's just you're going to harvest it a lot sooner. So if you reference some of those pictures too, you'll see that what they're harvesting is actually for textile use. So that's a really good kind of visual to be able to go look at this point too.
Okay, so little shorter. Is this something you could put on a field and get it off before you even have to worry about pollination of other crops?
Say that again. Is it something that you could put on the? I'm sorry.
You could get into a field and harvest it before it would become a problem with perhaps cross pollination issues.
Yeah, cross pollination. I haven't spent in my first year or two. Cross pollination was a big. Obviously, because we're growing CBD, and that's a huge thing with fruiting bodies. Anymore, as far as how it interacts with other plants or how that does, I still personally have that experience and really see. I haven't had with it to feel confident with stating anything about it. I can imagine that it's not going to go to seed. You're not going to go to fruiting bodies. But then again, with our Chinese varietals last year, we pushed that to, I think, 121 days. I think, Corey, that's what it was. And in those Chinese varietals, we didn't see really at all. So it's about region, about variety, about so many different factors, right? Soil conditions. They're just out in this field here, Ludington, and we're seeing kind of areas that are growing really good and some areas that aren't growing good. And both of those areas had great fertilizer on them. However, what we're finding is in those areas where it's not growing so well, even though there's a high fertilizer content, good NPKs and things like that, it's actually tying up the nutrients of the plant. So there's so many factors that we're learning. So kind of a long-winded answer to that is I don't know.
I think the general consensus is yes, we'd like to see, if you're going for that high, textile grade fiber, it's shorter, skinnier. You can usually harvest it more like July. For Michigan, you maybe harvest it towards the end of July when it's about 5-6 feet. And a lot of times the varietals, what we've seen at that height at that time, is just going into flower. So you'll probably still see a little bit of pollen depending on the varietal, but that's pretty much the time when you're harvesting that. Again, for this region, we, and I could, tomorrow it could be a whole different story, but for our region, we didn't really focus on the high-end textiles. We were more concerned about getting a decent amount of biomass for herd production, as well as a decent fiber that can go into nonwovens.
So more going to animal bedding, hempcrete, those would be the low-hanging fruit for that type of biomass, right?
Yeah, that's low-hanging fruit. And then we're constantly trying to help evolve the plastics industry, which I know, Dave, you get part of too. Really trying to get an understanding of how herd and fiber can enter into the plastics industry as either a filler to replace calcium carbonate or talc that are mine minerals. It'd be nice to get some renewable above ground material in plastics, and then also fiber for strengthening agents in plastics. So it's been kind of an exciting journey, which we know is going to take quite a while to evolve, but Michigan could be a good place for that industry.
Yeah. Well, and that's great to offset, those oil-based plastics, with a renewable resource that's carbon negative.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bonus. That's very cool.
You guys have done quite a bit of traveling around. You've seen quite a bit of things from some of the other manufacturers and people that are going on and people that are growing. Maybe you could share a little bit on what your thoughts are, what you've seen, and what you see coming kind of in the future. And I know, Rusty, you're involved a little bit with Hemp on some of their special projects. So maybe you could share a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game. How we started off with was talking about how we've traveled all around and made the connections and allowing the free flow of communication to kind of get us to where we're at, right? And every region is different, state is different, whether it's regulations, whether it's obviously their soil makeup and things like that, what that they're at. As far as IND, I mean, they're getting into pretty much everything. And as far as what we're seeing in the industry, me personally in Kansas and what Melissa's doing down there, of course, you know, heard, and they have processing and manufacturing that's going on there for what their end use applications are. And of course, IND is kind of casting a pretty wide net. But they're focusing on, as you saw, some of the textile grade fibers. They have the little Roche line, which is, you know, pretty much ideal for that. But, you know, coming out of France, that you know, specifically made for. And so I think what you're going to see is, again, depending upon the different regions where they're at and how close of the industry that they're in, it's what's making because what's getting eyes of the industry in those areas on their products and their specifications. And so again, what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of stuff that's being shipped across state lines and not necessarily feasible for transportation, but there's a lot of R&D going on. So I've worked in a couple of different projects, and I've been seeing biodiesel. I've been seeing a lot to do with biochar amendment coupled with hemp for soil remediation. Obviously, we all know hemp texture and insulation. IND has a huge hand in that. And then, of course, big time on the grain side, the proteins and the oils, and working with Victory. So there's a lot of movement going on in multiple different applications. I think, again, it's more so for us focusing on one at a time and kind of developing that out.
Yeah.
You know, Kim's house project, that seems, I mean, every week there's another little article about her and other building projects going on in the United States on the hempcrete product. So that's interesting to see. That's getting a lot of good play. We've been getting some questions lately, and I don't know if you guys know much about this or not, about using hemp product in road material. You guys heard much about that? Have you seen any research on it yet or anything like that?
I think both Corey and I ran into that. That was almost 2 years ago when we first kind of started looking into, I think it was the Pennsylvania DOT was doing some things on it. And there was some high level conversations about adding fiber into some concrete mixes that would lightweight it and add a structural advantage. And we've actually had the opportunity to sit in on a few conversations about hempcrete and how, instead of the traditional hempcrete that we all know with the lime binders and things like that, and utilizing more as insulation, we've sat in on a few conversations where there's individuals, you know, with Portland that, again, adding fiber add structural advantages and lightweighting at the same time. And of course, that helps move the needle away from toxic materials. So it's a step in the right direction. There's a lot out of Australia that's coming out too, with a lot of the building blocks, and of course out of Alberta.
I'll add to.
You've been working with this year's project. I mean, we'll talk more about this after the break. We're just about coming up to that. But so this year's project that you're doing with the fiber, located here in Michigan, and it's just east of Ludington a little ways is where it is. Let's talk just a little bit about that. How did you decide to grow there, and who are you working with, and give a little bit of background on that?
Yeah, I'll kind of tie that in with some of our travels too, right? Talking about Michigan specifically, it's been really interesting to see how every region is different for growing. And I'm kind of talking specifically about the farming aspect right now. You know, Texas, warm, heat index, away from some industry, right? Montana has great, you know, perks as well. Really cheap land. Some out there. They also have to worry about drought and distance from industry. And every single region seems to be different. So Michigan, it seems, we've got we check a lot of boxes. We can really get into a good product that can grow well and be retted really well because we've got a lot of moisture. So I guess what we're trying to do for our field day is really show farmers, how we compare to the rest of the state, why Michigan's good, and what the problems come along the way too. How do we pay for storing of bales? Do we need to wrap it in plastic? Do we need to have large infrastructure and how in kind of staging areas for bales to stay dry? These are kind of all the discussions that we really want to have centered around farmers, because we know without the trust and integrity in the farming network, this industry will go nowhere. And that's really honestly what Rusty and I have tried very hard to keep in check this entire time. Rusty knows just as well as I do. That's been a downfall for a lot of the industry in the last few years. Farmers have had a pretty rough time with things. And we're going slow and climbing steadily so we can keep that integrity base and really make a movement here.
Excellent.
So let's just talk a little bit about this, Dave, then we'll go to a break and we'll come back and talk more. But so this field day is going to be Tuesday, August 23rd is when it's going to be. And people should go to Essen Atlas to be able to register, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I think we shared our address and that information with you guys. So, yeah, essenatlas.com. You can register for field day.
See it scrolling across the bottom. Perfect.
Yeah. Blaine blew the surprise. I wanted to save that as a tease, Blaine, for after the break. We got to keep people engaged here, man. Come on, brother.
Well, we're just talking about it now. We're going to bring it up after the break.
We're super geeked about getting out there. I plan to make the journey. I'm going to get a hold of Jen. She lives by me. Maybe she'll ride with me out there, and we'll hang out for the day. It can be fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Here. That's right.
So, Dave, I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. I'm losing those guys a little bit. I'm going to have to go back and watch this afterwards after it's been recorded, because I'm losing those guys every little bit. But
yeah, you might switch your internet back to your regular Wi-Fi, or I don't know. So
yeah, it was worse that way. So
big boy internet one of these days.
We're getting we're getting high-speed internet out here. We're getting fiber optics, so it'll be there soon. So.
Cool.
But anyways, I figured I'll jump in and do a little bit of the news right now, and we can kind of come back to that. So, and I don't know if we've gotten Becky online or not. She was going to give us a kind of testimonial. So maybe you can send her an email, Dave, while I'm talking a little bit and see if we can get her on here. So one of the big news things that's happened this week has been the director for the CRA, the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, Andrew Bisbo, has been kind of shifted. He's stepping down from that position and going to be going into staying with the state, and we're doing something a little different. But I don't think we've had the announcement yet of who's going to take over as either an interim director or going to be a new director for that. So certainly some changes coming there. Don't know the whole story behind why, but certainly he's spearheaded that for, I think it's been 3 years or 4 years now, or maybe more. So grateful for what he's been able to get going on that project. And of course, we'll have to see how that's going to change. I'm assuming everything's going to stay the same as far as registering and processors having to go through the CRA. I don't think that's going to change any. So I don't think there's going to be too much change there. But believe it or not, that's coming up pretty quick. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. This is August, but November is when processors have to re-up. So we'll be having that going on. Let's see what else we got going on in the news. Again, the next big show coming up is going to be the Southern Hemp Expo. That's going to be August 18th through the 20th down in Nashville. Certainly a great event. If you're doing some traveling or got time, I was certainly going to attend that this year, but due to just some life changes for me, I'm not going to be able to do that this year. So kind of sad that I'm missing that one, but We did have Scott Colville went down to Florida to represent iHemp Michigan down at the KushCon down there in Tampa. Came back, said it was a great show. We thought it was kind of going to be more cannabis related, but he said no, it was pretty much mostly hemp related down there. So said it was a great turnout. They had about 1,500 people or so come in, and they had about 100 booths. So great for them. We're glad that that was able to happen in Florida, and so we're happy that Scott was able to go down and represent iHemp Michigan for us. So we appreciate that very much to do that. And Scott will give us a little more of an update at some point we'll be able to share on the show. A couple things from the Midwest Hemp Council. If you're an Indiana grower, you got to make sure you report your hemp crop. If you haven't, you need to do that. That's part of their requirement down there. And they've only had about 14 acres that have been reported so far. And so if you're an Indiana grower, make sure you follow the rules down there in Indiana, just like in Michigan. We've got to follow our rules to make sure you report that and get that out there. U.S. Hemp Authority had some people that attended the hearing that that they had on the House. A little disappointed. I did watch that hearing that was going on. The members of the House were very disappointed that there wasn't representation there from USDA, excuse me, and FDA on that. A lot of talk there regarding hemp and hemp as far as the grain and fiber go, as far as the testing, the requirements for that when that product's really not meant for CBD or for the smokable side. So there is quite a bit of movement and talk about trying to get the fiber and grain exempt from having to be tested. Of course, right now we still need to do that, but hopefully that's going to happen. And they're also working on getting let's call it a seed bank or seed list that if you grow or have these particular varieties that you put in, that they'd be exempt. They do that up in Canada and other places. So hopefully that's going to come, make it a little bit less expensive than for people to have to test that product, which again isn't being used for, is being used in manufacturing more than it is on the CBD and the other product side. So looking forward to that. That's a 2023 Farm Bill. They're talking about getting that out. That's got to come out soon. So a lot of talk on that. Doing on that. Let's see what else we got. Some events that are coming up, as well as the Southern Hemp Expo. August 20th is the Indiana Cannabis Awards. They're having that going on. And then August 22nd through the 23rd is the NIHC Business Research and Farm Summit. And August 23rd, of course, we have this great thing here in Michigan. If you can make that, we want to see everybody attend that. Make sure you're registered. They need a little help. Know who's coming on that. September 14th, the Indiana University Center for Biomolecular Science Symposium and Awards on Cannabis. September 17th is the Southern Illinois Hemp Cannabis Symposium. September 28th through October 1st is the National Product Expo East. And November 15th through the 17th is the Canada Hemp Trade Alliance Conference. And you can find more things that we have on our calendar listed on the iHemp site. So, Dave, were you able to get a hold of Becky?
Yeah, yep, she is here. Becky is here.
There we are. The Empress. Hey, there we are.
Hi, guys.
This is the way we see each other quite a bit recently. So
I know, right? All by Zoom.
Yeah. So, anyways, we want to like I said, we're going to start featuring some of the Hempy Award entries that came in, whether they won or not, over the next few weeks as we do the show. And this week we're spotlighting, I should say, Icon Processors, Fabio Rodi, and some of the great products that he's put out. They won the first and second place award, not only this year for 2021, also for last year they won as well. So their products are really great. The Eterna Advanced Wrinkle Serum, 1,000 milligrams, and the Eterna Nighttime Repair Cream. And Becky has used some of those, so she's going to give us a little bit of update on those products and how they work.
Thanks for being Van. I had to get back into it, otherwise you couldn't hear me. But
Yay. There's two of them. It's a product called Eterna. I have to do everything backwards here. Sorry. This is the nighttime cream. And this is the daytime cream. I have to go backwards. It's hard to see. Anyway, this is like a CBD oil. Comes in a dropper. Ta-da. I love this stuff. I have really oily skin, so I was concerned about whether or not I could even use this. I was afraid it would turn me into one big blemish, but it didn't. And I think every woman out there is looking for the fountain of youth. And I got to tell you, this is it for me. I love this stuff. This is the nighttime cream. And our 15-year-old granddaughter actually loves this nighttime cream too. She has cystic acne, so she uses this during the day at night because her skin is so dry because of the treatment she's going through. So this has given her some moisture in her skin, but this product is amazing, and I absolutely love it. I use it every day, every night, and I'll never be out of it. So that's that.
Now, Dave, I don't know. Yeah. Dave, I'm not sure if I click on this, does it share on the screen? Can you tell me? Can you see? Can you see the products?
No, you're not sharing your screen.
Not sharing your screen.
All right, see, we're all over here. Share screen. Share screen.
Well,
How's that?
Or Jim, he'll.
Nope.
Okay. Nope.
We still see you.
Did you see my lovely face? I wanted to show. I have the icon processing screen up with their products that they have.
If you go to icon processors and you click on their brands and you look for
I thought I could do that
Eterna,
so nice, and obviously I can't. So.
Aeterna, Eterna, under their brand, you'll find the product. So it's okay, Blaine. We can move on. But icon processors, love the product.
And congratulations on
here for you.
Okay. So congratulations on them for winning not only this year. There we go. That's what I wanted to show. Not only winning this year, but last year's as well. So
nighttime repair cream. There we go.
Yeah. I would probably need it by the gallon to help me out, but that would too much there for me. But
very cool.
All right, so that's our spotlight for this this.
Big thanks to the Hempress for playing along.
All right. So so let's get back to the guys and talk a little bit about their
field day. Let's talk about the agenda. I saw Crop Scout Christie's going to be there. Molly Mott. I mean, talk about what are we going to learn when we show up there way out west.
Well, we have a couple thoughts on that, right? We want to make sure that the background talk to the producer with what Christy has learned and continues to learn.
Can you guys hear Rusty okay?
Not very good. No, I'm sorry, Rusty. You're breaking up.
Sorry.
Let Corey. I think Corey's got better internet.
Yeah. Rusty's done a good job of pulling in some people for this to speak. So we got Crop Scout Christy. Obviously, she's been our agronomist, strong push on the farming side. We've got some folks, the MSU extension coming out that have been doing a lot of research on hemp trials. We've got some people coming from, I think, Purdue, maybe some people from the Michigan Economic Development.
Is Marguerite Bolt coming from Purdue?
I think she is. Yeah, I think she's trying to come up. So that'll be good. Midwest Hemp Council, Jamie's going to be up there supporting us.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, so just, you guys know, educating, trying to understand how to, in the next few years, if we get our processing facility up and going, we're going to need to quickly ramp up to, 5,000-6,000 acres, within a year or two after the processing facility is online. So that's a pretty big push, and we need everybody's support on that. It's we can't really have our head on the sand in that one. It's a big group effort. So I think that's kind of what we're putting, right?
Excellent.
I take my video off, can you hear me better or no?
I hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had just to kind of dovetail on what Corey was saying. Yeah, we've got some producers and growers that have said that they're going to be coming out, and of course, MADC. We have a few people from the USDA registered the last couple of days. A lot of higher level individuals that are really showing an interest of wanting to learn, especially from the conservation districts. So that's exciting. We're seeing a lot of state and federal interest, more so on the fiber side and the grain side of things. So yeah, we're pretty stoked. Our biggest thing is as much as we want to have an agenda, we also, where I personally have gotten the most out of it, is the Q&A and the panels at the different shows, and of course then the dinner dates afterwards. And so we wanted to create an environment where it was more conducive to that. And so it's kind of a free flow, figuring out what it is that the audience is going to want most, and of course what we can provide in the way of what we've learned in our experiences, to push things forward, to get producers and growers to understand what we've learned, so that the challenges that we've encountered, that they don't have to encounter so much, hopefully. And really, even more than that, is just saying, let's come together, let's get this done, let's link arms. That's our biggest thing that we're wanting to get done here.
Excellent.
Now, you're growing with the local grower there, Nate Wickham, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Blaine, we've got a little crossover too. We got some help on the equipment side from your good friend, Bill Beard. So we help out making some harvesting equipment. So that'll be really exciting to be able to showcase as well. How about you? You've been playing on the fiber and seed side, grain side a little bit. Where are you guys seeing the challenges with getting farmers on board, switching over from a traditional crop like corn or soy?
Contracts.
Well, yeah, the biggest problem is that, I'm working, of course, on a little project with you guys. We're growing that 5 acres over in the Thumb area, which is coming along pretty nice. Not as tall as I'd like it to be, but really nice heads that we've seen on them. So I think we're going to have some good grain production there. So the biggest thing is, right now is, once we get through this hurdle with USDA and being able to use this as a livestock feed, the results that are coming in from the testing that's being done, they've done it with poultry, and what they've seen there is just amazing what it's doing for the animals. So no question that that's going to be a huge, huge market. We've just got to get through that long process to get everything approved there. So, by the time that comes around, I'm going to be pretty knowledgeable on how to grow it and what works, what doesn't work, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. So yeah.
I think
we'll be harvesting.
Contracts are tough, right? We've seen a lot of broken contracts too over the years. We all know it's a chicken and the egg situation. Luckily, there are some people out there in the world that understand that the processing facility needs to come on board to be able to really have legitimate contracts, right?
I hope Jamie can maybe share a little bit, and if she knows what's going on with the company down in Indiana, how that's coming along. But that's another big one that's going to be coming along pretty soon too. So.
Yeah, that's right. It's people making the push.
And we haven't even began to include discussions of, there's a.
So let's talk in about where people go to
Blaine,
make sure they get.
Rusty was just saying something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, we haven't even really touched upon kind of more of the sustainability side of things and greenhouse gas emissions and carbon sequestration. Of course, we're seeing a lot of movement. You're seeing companies like Puro Earth that are now trading their, corks on the NASDAQ, and it's listed, through Australia and UK and a lot of European countries. And that's going to play a huge role too. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're understanding with Christy and of course with our own experiences, traditional crop rotations, one, how and where hemp fits into corn, soybeans, sorghum, sugar beets, and things like that. But then also, how do we provide a value addition in those crop rotations with the potential for hemp to sequester more carbon? And as initiatives and things are coming down from major companies to go more green, we're hoping that we can provide a solution or a pathway for farmers to get in on that as well. So that's a big portion of it too, to tie back to not only having contracts and making it so that it's competitive with corn and soybean on price, not on competition with land. That's the other thing that we're big proponents of, is realizing that hemp plays its role as part of a corn operation, as part of a wheat grower's operation. We're in no way, shape, or form competing. So there's just a lot of different pieces in their totality that when they come together, it not only makes sense, but for the future and the vision and how things are moving, it makes a huge amount of sense. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I like that, Rusty. You know, I think we all know it's kind of, we've got two sides going right now. One is the economic and the, you know, the feasibility and the, you know, the making the dollars make sense on a new crop and a new industry, right? That's, you know, we really need to make sure we have that zoned in, but at the same time, we need to share the bigger story, right? The climate smart solutions, the, you know, what hemp can do for sustainability and the future, you know, development of America. So it's kind of, you know, we got two kind of sides going on, the practical and then the big story, right?
Well, it's all about sustainability. You know, we have had a lot of people in the hemp industry get washed out and, you know, have to go elsewhere because they weren't sustainable. You know, they didn't have, you know, for whatever reason, the markets didn't develop, or, you know, they got hurt, you know, and a lot of people have been washed out. So, you know, this path going forward, you know, for the market to mature, for us to be able to deliver on these promises, we need a sustainable and mature marketplace, and it's going to take a bit to get there.
You just hit on a very, very good point and core component of what kind of Corey and I operate on, is transparency and realistic expectations. So the more that you can communicate and educate, bring people into your network, the more that people start to understand, you know, you don't have to sell yourself by putting stuff out that you put it out that you're doing it, but it's actually all on paper. And so a lot of times what happens is, you know, the paper conversion to realistic measures and what's actually happening in the field doesn't get communicated. And that's where you see a lot of people fall off. And I think that that's really where we kind of shine, is the ability that everything is based with realistic expectations and realistic outcomes. And that's where you have to base your numbers and your inputs on. You know, it can't be something that's you know, hasn't been done in the field. They can't be crop rotations that haven't been seen over a couple of years. So that just kind of touches right on that point.
Yeah. Keep it real.
Real. Keep
it real.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, there was a lot of vaporware, a lot of greenwashing at the beginning. Yeah.
You guys are helping some other state growers as well. So talk a little bit about that for a minute, if you can, where you're working on some other projects.
Yeah, we're lucky enough. Again, one of the biggest components of what Corey and I do is make inroads and network. And by way of our friends out in Colorado and iHemp and Mike Liago and Drew Kitt, they were working with some guys in Ohio, and we were lucky enough to have them reach out to us because we're close enough to where we could get down there and share some of our experiences with them. And again, this was just down out of, man, you guys are in Ohio, we're in Michigan, let's come together. And so, yeah, Corey and I have been down to Ohio a couple of times. We were able to deliver some seed that those guys out west sent to us to them. Kind of talk through some of the challenges that we've, you know, seen and done over the last couple of years. And and again, it's just one of those things where, you know, we're hoping that by developing and cultivating those relationships, that in the future there'll be an arm that will feed into processing here in Michigan, and heck, maybe they do so well that it makes sense to start processing, you know, outside of Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are looking forward to this, that's for sure. It'll be nice. Hopefully, we'll have some good weather. You know, just to let you know that Becky and I have actually put off a little anniversary trip because that's our anniversary day. We're going to come up and see you guys instead. That's how important we think it is. So, just so you know.
That's great. We appreciate that. I mean, how cool, you know, we're all passionate about this thing. How cool is it for us to all get together in a hemp field, right? So we're actually carving out a little section of our field, plop down our tents, and we'll all hang.
Cool.
I love it. I love it. And what one thing to let you guys know, the service isn't very good here.
Beautiful. That's okay. I'll leave my phone in the car. How's that?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, Rusty, congratulations to you. You just had a new addition to your family. I thought maybe you might share some baby pictures, but I guess we won't be able to do that today. So.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Indy Oaks, he's been with us now for 9 days, so just super stoked. And again, it's just one of those another step in life that I'm so proud about and grateful for. So appreciate it.
Well, congratulations. You said Indy Oaks?
Yes, sir. INDY, Indy Oaks. Oaks is his middle name.
Wow, interesting. Okay, very cool. Very cool. All right, Blaine, how we doing on time? We need to get to the recipe, man.
We do, absolutely.
Smoothies.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
well, again,
man.
I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules and sharing the information. And I'm glad that we're able to let people know. And we're all looking forward to coming up and getting some more education from you guys on this and see where that goes. So I don't know. Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to drag the decortication machine over there so everybody can see the see the beast in person. I guess maybe we'll see if we can do that. So
hey, there we
go.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, guys. Really appreciate it. Spread the word.
Yep.
More people, the better. So
let us know how we can help.
All right.
Well, here we go. The fun part of the show. See, Dave, I got my hat. I remembered it. So absolutely. So we're kind of getting to the end of the blueberry season. So we thought we'd do one more little special recipe for the blueberries. A delicious antioxidant-rich smoothie with blueberries and hemp seeds. Now, if you don't know where to get hemp seeds, we brought these out at the expo this year. We got the Hemper brand hemp hearts available now, so you can get them on the website. So we know where to find those as well. So this ingredients is pretty simple. They call for a little bit of vanilla soy milk, plain low-fat yogurt, almond butter, hemp seeds, blueberries frozen, banana fresh or frozen, and some ice cubes to make it all up. And I like simple things, so you just combine the soy milk, the yogurt, the almond butter, and the hemp hearts in a blender, and you make it so it's kind of smooth. That's why it's called a smoothie. You add frozen fruit to it, and away you go. So, and I did do a little sample. Now, it's kind of hard to see this probably, but this is going to be my lunch here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to have my protein smoothie for lunch. Now, hopefully the next show, Mike Brennan couldn't join us this time because he's up doing a remote from another event that's going on, and he'll be able to share with us next time what happened there, and we'll have a little update from Scott on what happened down in Tampa, and of course we'll definitely have an update from what goes on here. So that's what we got, Dave.
Excellent. And you can find that recipe on ihempmichigan.com. You'll see. Well, am I sharing? I don't see the share.
It's right down in the lower left and the lower left corner for me. But
yeah, I had to nudge it. Yep. So ihempmichigan.com. We've got the blueberry hemp smoothie recipe, so you can find a number of recipes there, and you can submit your recipe to us as well. We'd love to hear from you guys what you're doing with hemp.
Absolutely. I know we got a lot of good chefs and cooks out there, because every once in a while we get some comments. So yeah, send it in. Send them in.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that wraps us up for today. And we'll check your email, go to the iHemp Michigan website to find out who our guest is next month.
And we'll see everybody on the 23rd at the Fiber Field Day.
Sounds great.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Peace and love.